Boxing King Media in association with Box. So first of all, respect Eddie for sticking behind to do all his interviews. Respect the hustle. I'll fly straight into it. Kid Gallard, obviously up until about 3-4 weeks ago, he didn't know whether he was going to get this date. He was potentially a third option. If he never got this date tonight, what other plans did you have for him?
Well, he was supposed to fight Castaneda, and then he got injured in that fight, so that was out. And then obviously he wanted to move to 135 pound. He wanted this fight. The reason that it was slow to confirm is because originally we were going to do Maxi Hughes against Jorge Linares. That fight fell through, and then the Kid Galahad fight was still there. It's a very good fight. I feel like Maxi's obviously looking for that big fight for big money, and this is a very dangerous fight for him. And you know, really, both guys need to win, and if they can win in style, it will set them up for a big opportunity at 135 pounds.
What is the plan for the winner? Because Ryan Garcia obviously has flirted with Maxi before, but nothing's come concrete of it.
I just think like you keep winning if you're Maxi Hughes, and you know, like I said, Linares was made and then it fell through. There's been talks of Ryan Garcia. Those kind of level fights are all out there for him, but he's got to win, and if he can win in style, then I think that's a way to really stamp your authority and call for those fights.
Moving on to Terry Harper's fight, you know, Steffi talked about it a few weeks ago that they had tried to get a clause in regards to the IBO belt that Terry had to give it up if she won. Have you come across that before, and is that true?
Yeah, sometimes, you know, there's all kinds of demands, and you know, Hannah Rankin didn't really have to take this fight. You know, she had a fight if she wanted it, a unification with Natasha Jonas. She wanted to box with us and DAZN. Terry obviously wanted this fight. It's a chance for her to be a two-division champion. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think that on an even playing field, I think Terry Harper is the better fighter. But I respect Hannah. You know, she's come through some adversity. She's improved herself. And also, it's just the weight difference. You know, you just don't know how that's going to affect Terry Harper in this fight. I think for Hannah Rankin, she'll feel like she can walk Terry down and be aggressive in this fight. And it's going to be very interesting.
Sound. And I just want to speak to you about the AJ Fury situation. I tried to get in Francis last week, and like you, they've been very coy. They didn't want to speak too much about it, which is positive. Yeah. Obviously, the TV broadcast seems like the big sticking point, but can it be overcome?
I hope so. You know, I mean, we've still got to get there with a contract, and those conversations have got to take place, but there's nothing really to say. We're all working as hard as we can on it. No one's bad-mouthing anyone, which is a really good sign, and I think both sides would like to make it happen.
I just want to get your response to comments from Usyk. I don't know if you've seen it, it's just come out. He's been asked about AJ's post-fight reaction, and he said, "What a poor fool. He reminded me of the little boy who wanted to play with the ball, but it was taken away from him, so he decided to throw it over the neighbour's fence."
Oh, that's very out of character for Alexander Usyk. He was saying some nice things a couple of weeks ago. Must be having a bad day.
Yeah, it's reporting live from Benson. Also, this stuff on Twitter last night. Obviously, everyone's got the about, you know, the DAZN pay-per-view numbers. I think one of the comments I saw from Espinoza, he's saying that you try to obscure the real numbers. Your response to that?
Look, they fed Dan Rafael numbers that were completely inaccurate, and it was just bizarre that Dan chose to report those numbers without even speaking to anyone. He tried to be the superhero, but unfortunately there was no cape, and we had to correct him. You know, the numbers were well out that Dan Rafael reported. Over, you know, when you talk about obscuring, it's over 1 million people bought the fight. There's different price points for the fight globally, but the majority of those buyers came from the US, and nowhere near 50% or whatever Dan Rafael was claiming. So he was wrong, and you know, he wouldn't have been able to publish those numbers if he was with a big outlet, because they would have said you can't just get hearsay off someone and post it. They didn't even ask us for a comment, so that was disappointing. But you know, the show was successful. I think DAZN would have liked more numbers in the US. I think it was a very solid number in the US. But you know, the huge bulk of the over 1 million were from the US.
And how does that work? Because obviously Dan attends your events. He was at the Canelo Triple G fight. How does it work when you guys bump into each other? When obviously
I'll tell him to his face. I'll tell him on here. I'm disappointed in it. But he tried to be the hero, and it's like the person who first reports the pay-per-view buys. I think he was told those numbers before there was even a complete view from DAZN on the actual numbers. Do you know what I mean? So, but he never called me and said, "Look, I've been told this. Do you want to comment?" Because I would have told him absolute bollocks. But he chose to run with it.
So, I just want to get your reaction to Jake Paul made quite a strong accusation against yourself. What's happening with regards to you? Because I know in the US people jump in with lawsuits.
Yeah, I don't like lawsuits, but at the end of the day, you have to, you have to back yourself, and you have to protect your integrity. I was really disappointed with Jake Paul's comments. It was idiotic from someone that knows nothing about boxing. And I like Jake, and I think he's good for boxing as a whole. But at the same time, it's very disrespectful to me, the family business, the integrity of our business, and our love for the sport. And also, these judges that he's referring to are outstanding judges, some of the best in boxing, and it's disrespectful to them as well. So I think he's been taking the interviews down, but he'll be apologising, and if he won't, then we'll have to act accordingly.
Last question: the whole Fury AJ talk. There's people suggesting that it could all be a bluff, and Fury might end up fighting Manuel Charr. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, that's the worrying thing, is that Charr came out and said he's fighting Fury on December 3rd, but we choose not to believe that, and we choose to trust in the process, and we'll see where we get to.
Eddie, as always, appreciate your time.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you.